Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali Shaw, and you are watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today we are going to talk about ascension into the higher self, five-dimensional consciousness, you may call it super consciousness, six-dimensional consciousness, or 560 is the hyper consciousness, and seven-dimensional consciousness is the ultra state of consciousness. And as you are aware, many of you are aware of the fact that we have been discussing consciousness and higher self and higher self into the consciousness for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And last week, a very interesting thing happened. Not friend, acquaintance of mine texted me on Telegram, and he said, no offense, Afan, uh, we all of us are living in the same planet, in the same reality, in the same dimension, and it was very clear, and no offense taken, and that I would like to make it one thing very clear here, that five-dimensional consciousness or seven-dimensional consciousness is not a physical place, is not a place that you can physically go there, touch it, or experience it. Five-dimensional consciousness or seven-dimensional consciousness or an ultra state of consciousness is a spiritual realm, is something that you can perceive it, experience it, and he was absolutely right that we all of us we are living in a, three-dimensional reality, and three-dimensional reality has conflicts, resentments, hatred, and in a living in a three-dimensional reality, we often don't we have the conflicts within ourselves and outside in the outside world, and in the three-dimensional state of being, we don't recognize the divine energies within ourselves, the cosmic energies within ourselves, as we move up into the higher state of consciousness. Is the five, whether it's 5D or 7D, we don't, then we realize that the power, the cosmic energy, the divinity is all within ourselves. And speaking of 5D, it is also I was reading it yesterday that humanity currently hasn't reached to that collectively. Humanity collectively hasn't reached to the level of 5D consciousness, and some people are experiencing the 5D, the five-dimensional reality, because of their individual work or individual consciousness, individual efforts. But most of the people are, or majority of the people collectively, haven't reached to the level of five-dimensional consciousness. And five-dimensional consciousness, ascension into the higher states. This is our topic for discussion today. And my guests are Gary Murk, and he has joined us from Virginia. No, he has joined us from Alberta, Canada. And
Almost,
uh,
almost.
yes, almost. And my second guest is Ariella Strauss, and she is a priestess, twin flame priestess, and he has joined us from the US. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, guys, for your time, for your energies, and for your gift, for your knowledge, and bringing it into the show.
Thank you for having us again.
Okay, you're welcome. And hey, Carol, thanks so much for joining us. And uh, I'm gonna start with you, Gary. That many people, yes, I'm gonna start with you, Gary.
Uh-oh.
And
Uh-oh.
many people are they say that 5D is some type of a physical place, and 7D or is that it is not a physical place. It is something that you experience it, because we all of us are the same people. We are living in a three-dimensional reality. Is one thing is very clear, but the way we are. the way we perceive things, the way we see things is different. The way we experience it,
Hmm.
experiencing different things, it is different. Our experiences are different. Our conscious level is different, and that's where some people reaches to the higher level of consciousness, and the
Hmm.
others are simply at the lower consciousness. And there's one thing, very interesting thing here, that many people, the people at the higher level of consciousness, so 5D or 4D or whatever their level is, they don't lower their energy by indulging into the conflicts, into the hatred and resentments. They
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
simply they simply those conflicts and those hatred, resentment, all of these, the realities of this world, of three-dimensional world, are already exist. They exist in this world, but
Hmm.
they move them to the higher self. They avoid them. They separate themselves from those things that lower their energy. So that's how they raise up to the higher
Hmm. Hmm.
level.
Wow,
Yes,
that's quite the intro, my friend.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
Uh,
let's step back in some.
it just
Okay, Jesse just tagged. Jesse, come on
yes.
over, and maybe he'll join us in sitting beside me. Okay, but
Mhm,
anyways,
yeah.
let's go into some history a little bit. Ever
Mhm,
since Babylon, since the times of
mhm,
Babylon,
mhm,
something shifted. In fact, a lot of things shifted and a spiritual war began. In fact, the spiritual war was already in process, but when
mhm,
Babylon was in this era of severe corruption and slavery and everything, it set
mhm,
precedent for history and
mhm,
right up until where we are right now. Where we are right now is in a manipulated matrix. This
mhm,
is, think of it as a program, okay? A
mhm,
program that has been intentionally set to disconnect us from the
mhm,
truth of the power of love,
mhm,
okay? Love is everything. Love is everything that is connected on this earth and within the cosmos. We're not just connected to this earth space, we're also connected into the cosmos. This energy is ever loving, the truth of it, okay? But there's always been a battle. There's always been a battle with the darkness to turn around and you know, stop this power of love because love has allowed us to have a freedom. When you truly love, and love willingly, you're in a
mhm,
freedom and you're in a freedom of evolution. Now, where we are in 3D, is it a
mhm,
reality or is it a matrix? Is
mhm,
it a veil over before us that's blinding us from the truth of what we're seeing? What are
mhm,
we seeing right now in today's world? I use the word mind fuckery because that's
mhm,
exactly what it is. We have been so
mhm,
programmed that we're blinded. We believe in
mhm,
the power of money. We believe in the power of consumerism. We believe in the luxuries. We believe in
mhm,
everything that is in part destroying not only the earth, but affecting humanity. The earth
mhm,
is in an evolutionary change. It always goes through an evolutionary change. But
mhm,
part of this evolutionary change has been amplified by humankind's activity.
mhm,
So our activity has affected this evolution of the earth, okay, in a way that if we don't correct our ways, well, we might not have an earth left. So now where do we go to this aspect of 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, and on and on and on and on? You know, and all due respect, these are stepping stones of consciousness to bring us into a connection with the truth of life. I mean, what does it take us as humans to see this?
mhm,
Well, we're seeing it right now. We're seeing everything that's happening around the world that is affecting us, this disconnection from the truth of what this higher level of consciousness is. We
mhm,
choose to engage or disengage. In fact, the higher you raise your vibration, the
mhm,
more that you're going to disengage from the negativity, from the protests, from the movements, from everything that's repeating the same stories.
mhm,
Okay? Rather than opening our eyes and opening our heart and going to within. When we go within and we truly reach to the power of the heart, we start to see just how connected we are to all life. Look around me. I'm connected to this. I'm connected to the skies, to the cosmos, to the stars, to every life around me, human or not. And this is part of this higher level of consciousness, God consciousness, Christ consciousness. It's a connection to the love of life. Life is living in frequent evolution, and love is letting others voluntarily evolve. That means not just humans. We allow the freedom of all species to evolve. But as humans, we've made some grand errors, and we're still making the same errors. So, this level of awakening is to say, you know what? Look at where you are, see where you are, be aware of who you are as a person, as a human, but also your interaction of what's going on. You're every person, no matter how many people there are, 7 billion or 7, everything that we do has an impact. Everything that we say has an impact. It's energy. We're emitting energy, we're receiving energy. Now, are you receiving energy in the goodness of what this energy can be? When you let go of the mind fuckery and you let go of the yesterdays and the atrocities and find forgiveness for all that has happened and allow it to turn around and end the story, we then move into a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of sight. We begin to see that we're outside of what we've been programmed to see. You start to see colors, you start to see patterns, you start to see things that you were never aware of because you didn't open your eyes. Opening your eyes is opening my heart. I open my heart, I see life. I engage with life. I choose
Yeah,
to engage with life.
indeed. And Carol mentioned DNA, and I was reading it yesterday, a very
Yeah,
interesting thing, that our DNA has a magnetic characteristic, and
of course it does.
yes, and you cannot, some people, you cannot prove it with our technology hasn't reached the level to prove it, that it has but
Let,
if we add the conscious element into it, then we can prove it. Okay, let's take an example that go out anywhere, go out of your house, or just stare at someone.
okay, I'll
Just
give
go
you.
there, go out. Okay,
I'll
let
give you
me
the.
finish my example.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, go out and stare at someone. Just stare him or her for around about for 1 or 2 minutes. The other person would realize that some person is staring at me. You get the feeling someone is staring at you. You get instantly you get the feeling that someone is looking at me. Whether you are in a party surrounded by hundreds or thousands of people, when only one person stares at you, then you immediately get the feeling that that someone is staring at you. How does it work? And
wow.
there's a word attention, and the Latin word for it is attendere. It means to approach to someone, to reach out to someone. And attention means when you are looking at someone, you are not paying attention, you are approaching to that person. And look at from the conscious perspective, that how do you know? You cannot prove these things from the scientific perspective. How the other person does know that you are looking at him or her. It's just something. It is a common experience. All of us, we
Mm-hmm.
experience it, but we cannot prove it. And the same thing is with our dreams and with the things that we can foretell about the future and about our visions, about our dreams. And we have the physical body, but our dreams are intangible. How does a physical thing produce an intangible thing, or dream about the future, vision about the future? These are the things that they all belong to the ring of consciousness or
Yes.
spirituality. Now go back to your example.
Well, as an example, we are electromagnetic beings. We
Mhm,
produce an
mhm,
electro frequency. Believe it or not,
mhm,
we do.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
and you can close your eyes and you can
mhm,
feel, if you
mhm,
allow yourself to connect really to
mhm,
self, you will
mhm,
feel the vibratory patterns around you. You will feel
mhm,
the energy. I look at where I'm sitting. Where
mhm,
I'm sitting, I'm feeling the vibrations coming from the
mhm,
waterfall. I'm feeling the vibrations coming from the plants. I'm feeling from the
mhm,
vibrations coming from the
mhm,
wind. I'm
mhm,
receptive to this.
mhm,
We are electromagnetic in the sense you can pass somebody along the street and all of a sudden
mhm,
you get goosies, your hair
mhm,
raises. Okay?
mhm,
Why? You've entered into an energy field of the
mhm,
other. We
mhm,
produce this vortex, this
mhm,
energy field around us that is a masculine and a feminine energy. It is what we
mhm,
what when we find balance between the two of it, we end up being in this essence of oneness. We become more connected with life, more connected with our surroundings, and now we start to feel. Can science prove it? That's mind
no.
fuckery. Because science wants to prove 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And all of this,
Mhm,
everything else, to give it some logical explanation. When
mhm,
is there logic to what we feel with heart? No, there's intuition. The intuition tells us something's going on. Our heart sees 5 seconds before our
mhm,
eyes and brain start the process. 5 seconds. It sees
mhm,
truth, it feels energies, it feels love, it feels hate, it feels fear, because
mhm,
all of this produces a vibration. You
mhm,
feel the negative in somebody because they produce a
mhm,
vibration. So if you
mhm,
associate with the negative, guess what? Your vibration drops. And now
mhm,
you're caught into the same vibratory pattern as them.
mhm,
But what if we were to step outside of that? If we step outside of this existence of negativity and step inside, like come within you, start to
mhm,
feel how alive you are from within, not from what you
mhm,
see from the outside vessel. You'll start to
mhm,
understand a great deal of things. In a world when we have, look at the pull of the full moon. When the full
mhm,
moon is risen, look at the female species, the females of our species. Okay, and as a man, I can contest to the changes that come forward because of the magnetism of the moon,
mhm,
the
mhm.
rising of the tides, the change of the seasons. Is there
Mhm.
science that can explain this? As a
No.
DJ, I used to sit in a club where I was doing the music, and on the
Mhm,
evenings of a full moon, I closed the gates because there was a lot of crazy people out because the energies were all different. So, how do we prove that? Experience. It's very, very, very easy to prove. Okay, if you're aware of who you are and how you feel, your emotional pull to somebody. Well, look at when we are in love. Is there not a magnetism? Is there not something that attracts you to that person that you're in love with? Is it
Yes.
you feel it from within? Is there
Mhm,
logic that can explain that?
mhm,
Truly, your heart
mhm.
can. My
There's
heart can
another
explain
example.
everything.
Mhm. There's another example of an mother and the the bonding and the connection between mother and the infant, and mother instantly knows that something is happening to my child. And
Mhm,
how
mhm.
does she know that? Even there's a distance of thousands of miles. She instantly gets the feeling that something is happening to my son or daughter, or this is the vibration. A vibration is also also part of the consciousness.
Yeah.
And now I think we have been discussing. Both of us are talking, and we have been.
Let's
And
Ariel ask.
Yeah, yeah, it's her turn now. And Ariella, what are your experiences on about consciousness and how we can move it to the higher self? And what are those characteristics?
Right. Before we begin,
Mhm,
Gary brought up an example like basically, the example we give of how it affects different people. And I'm
mhm,
just summarizing, like good or bad. It's our example, the energy we put out. I'm not going to
mhm,
read all this, but there's a quote I with my twin flame that And as I brought up many times, and Gary and I had a nice show earlier this week on my show
Mhm.
about soul
Mhm.
connections.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
well, actually, I will read short. I'm not going to read everything, but I'll read a little because it does go into the higher, ascension and everything as well. But I just want to key on a main quote here,
Mhm.
picking up what Gary said.
Mhm.
When I was writing this, I said, "You never know the words you say or actions you do, how it affects
Mhm.
those you meet or never meet, but they know of you." And I want to add to that saying, you never know that you could actually build them up or tear them down. And I love with this podcast or this live, even though we talk about different subjects, we're building the energy up. And even if we agree to disagree on a couple things, we're still bringing that energy up. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like Gary said in our other shows and everything. It's that energy level, and people take notice. Even with my podcasting, when I'm not live like I am now, but I have my picture up, they still hear my voice. They still hear everything. So, so I just want to say I just love the energy here. With that being said, I was listening to you, Hassan, when you talk about how your friend was mentioning about the 3D and the 5D, how the 3D is more real. The question is, what is real? Because see, if you want to go into the supernatural, and it's like the Twilight Zone, like with that movie, that music, like do 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 do.
Mhm.
At
Mhm.
least this is what people labeled me, and I'm going to take the label off, but because of my gifts,
Mhm.
what they call metaphysical, where I have my gifts. I actually have my feet in both in what we call the 3D. I could actually see both realms. I can't prove that scientifically to people.
Hmm.
But when I pick up on things, when my guides, my angels speak to me, and I hear more people, as we talk about the soul, the spirit, it's all energy, but I hear those that pass over. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like we shared the other time. I don't see them as often because sometimes I'm just too caught up in my own 3D things
Mhm.
throughout the day, but I still hear them. And the thing is, you
Mhm.
probably can't tell behind me back here, all this light. That's a lamp right there, obviously. But when we were on the show, and that's a brand new lamp, but the energy rose up where the light just got brighter, and I didn't do anything to mess with it. And that happens every once in a while because my energy actually makes a few light bulbs burn out. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, I didn't know I was transmitting that. The point I want to get back to is with reality for me, yeah, I get it. The physical 3D, when I'm awake, that's as far as realistic where I could feel, touch, and everything like that. But when we're ascending into these different planes, different levels, to me, again, this is my opinion, my thoughts. To me, that is still reality, except a different level, a different view of reality. And I have all my senses. I could still feel, taste, and touch all those senses over there as well. But again, scientifically, and I don't know about telepathy. They're still trying to prove that. And obviously, I know it exists because I've had conversations with people saying, wait a minute, I thought I heard you, but I wasn't sure. And I'm like,
Hmm.
in another state, I'm like, or remote viewing, or, there's many stuff with the ascensions.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to confuse people already. But that being said, I have so much experience. I can't prove it, and I don't need to prove it to anybody. But if I'm seeing somebody, like if I'm in the middle of a reading, which I've done recently, and I have to be careful with my energy because that takes a lot of energy, especially when my guides are talking to me and you like talk to 10 different people one day. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that's a lot of energy that you just transmitted out. But the point is, people, and again, I'm trying to do with this, the ascension. Unless people experience it, like Gary said, those that haven't experienced it won't understand what we're going through or and it's so to me, again, do we need to really prove it? I mean, we want to prove it, but do we really need to prove it? That's my question. That's what I'm working on right now. As far as the ascension process, I just want to trail back. I know I get off on the rabbit trail again. For me, for the reality, again, it is reality, just like in my 3D, except it's on a different level to me, and I'm still learning. You know, I've been with you guys for a month now, and I've had, I was saying, I don't know if it's just being around you guys or, you know, and everything with my learning, but, or talking with Gary, I think, I'm going to, you know, since Gary and I had some conversations, my guides are open. My mind's like expanding, like, whoa, what just happened? Because all he's doing is passing on knowledge from his experience. And my guides are like, you went through that, pay attention, you know, like, so I'm just saying that, Gary, the energy's out there, you know, it's like buzzing, and I'm finally learning how to balance it out. But yeah, so Ascension, again, Ascension is real. And again, I don't want to confuse people, but the question is, again, what is reality? You know, just like Gary mentioned, this is the Matrix. Reminds me of the Matrix movie, you know, which they're coming out with a new one, I think, at the end of the year. And it's like the red pill or the blue pill. I'm like, how about no pills? You know, I'm like,
yeah.
Right? It's like, how about we? My question, here's a conundrum, Mike, if I could put it that way. What if what I'm experiencing 3D, okay, is only, it's flip flop with my dreams or my lucid? What if my actual reality is in my lucid dreaming or my higher spiritual self, but yet this is just a phase or an experience, you know, an experiment? That's a whole other show, but I'm just saying, what if it's flip flopped? You know, you never know. But yeah, but it is, to me, it is a part of reality. So when people say that 5D, 4D, 5D is part of the dream world or this state, I'm like, I see what you're saying, and I respect your opinions, but to me, I've witnessed this other reality, and I can't box it in somewhere else. So I'll just leave it there. But I love how you introduced me, because unfortunately here on streaming you can't put your whole title or your whole name. So that's why I just put podcaster. But
Yes, indeed.
yeah.
Yes,
So, but
indeed.
anyway, I'll pause there, and you could ask other questions.
Yeah, before jumping into the reality, what is reality? And I would like to add here Anthony's story. It is very interesting and relevant to this topic. And he said, when I was 13, I fell in the lake and I slipped on the edge, got home hours later, and my mom said, "What happened to you today? I felt you were in danger." And it's a very interesting thing. This is just one experience. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of experience, and millions of people, they experience such things, such connection, the vibration, the conscious connection. They feel it every day, and but you cannot prove it scientifically. Although there are some scientists, there are some a very good scientists, they are working on it, on proving the consciousness that our body works as a receiver and transmitter of energy at the same level, that you transmit energy and the other person receives it, and if they're both on the same level of consciousness of the same energy, then they feel it. If some one person has the higher energy and the other person has the lower energy, then you cannot have this connection, this connection of consciousness. Both person has to be at the same level of energy. Their vibration should be at the same level. And now let's move to another Ariella mentioned about reality. What is real, Gary?
Wow. Yeah, that's a good question. What is real and
Mhm,
what is not? You
mhm,
know, everybody's going to see their own truth. Everybody's going to see
mhm,
through their own perspective. So, what is your reality over my reality? Well, if I go to my reality based upon experiences, I will go back to a near death experience at the age of 9 years old. How do I explain what that was all about? I know what I felt. I know what I saw. I know what conversation I had. I also know how it affected me afterwards, how it changed my life in a multitude of ways. In fact, in so many ways that it scared the living daylights out of me, to a point where I tried to run away from it, because nobody could understand it. Science can't understand it. They can try and explain it all they want. You know what? That's mind fuckery in another way. Okay, but how do you explain something that is an experience based on a personal experience in my reality of what I saw and how it affected me going throughout my life. Everything that I see has given me a greater purpose. What I learned from the near death experience showed me that life had a greater purpose, that there is a higher consciousness, that there is a Christ, that there is a God, but not a God per se in a sense of here's a humanoid form. It's an overwhelming universal connection. This God consciousness of my reality is life around me, above, below, and within. And it's taken me some 60 years to see what this is all about. And I'm still learning. You know, it's not because I have a great deal of wisdom that I know. No, there's things I still don't know. And I'm still learning as I'm going forward. And the higher I raise my vibration, I'm learning other things. I'm learning how to speak with the animals, how to speak with the insect world, how to speak with Gaia and in everything that she brings. I work with the essences of Gaia. I work with her essence of rose and jasmine, and I speak with these oils. These oils speak with me. So how do I explain that to somebody that, you know what, I got a liquid in my hand and it has vibration and energy. Science can't prove it. Science will try to disprove it. But what you feel in your hand, in your body, through the scent, through the aroma, through the sensations, everything becomes heightened as we increase our vibration. The more we raise our frequency and our vibrational acceptance of what is reality, we start to
Mhm,
see that what we've been programmed to see is
mhm,
breaking down. And now we start
mhm,
to see more. We start to see what a wider vision. And this to me is, reality is a label. It's a matrix. I see what I want to see. You see what you want to see. But when we
mhm.
let go of what we want to see, we start to see more. My perspective, of course.
Yes, indeed. And
Uh,
now, I'm gonna thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Anthony Rogers. Thank you, Deanna, for your wonderful comments and for your enthusiastic support. And now, another question is to you, Ariella. I'll ask you that. Yeah, you are. I'm gonna ask you the same question later on. What are those elements that pulling us down from moving into the higher self?
Hmm.
uh, Before I do that, I saw Anthony
Mhm,
posted, I guess, for Deanna. I just want to
mhm,
answer her real quick with the
mhm,
deities because of my experience. Yes, this
mhm,
could be her ascension, but to me, when
mhm,
when I speak to the deities, and Gary mentioned Gaia, I work with Persephone, I work with different gods and goddesses as deities. To me, to her, it could be her ascension. I can't really speak to her, but when they come visit me, they come to, I don't want to say my level, but they come down to the earth to speak to me. I don't go up to them, if that makes sense. It's like we meet in the middle, and how that happens, I'm still figuring it out. But I guess that could be an ascension. But again, I don't know, Deanna. I don't know your situation, so I'd love to talk to you after the show about it. But yeah, so for you, it could be, if you feel it is an ascension. Um, Definitely, when you're speaking to them, where you see them, that's some type of different experience, different level. Um, Asan, I'm trying to figure out, as far as what you're asking. I guess the element to me,
Now, what are those elements that pulling us down from moving from ascending into the higher self?
Hmm.
well, the biggest thing, I guess if you're asking how we can or can't get up there, the biggest element keeping us down is fear, at least for me, because whatever the reason, whether it be religion, society, whatever man-made dogma, and I'm a little lady here, but I'm going to step out of the box real quick since Gary's good at saying stuff. It's man. The fear is made by man's bullshit. Okay, if I could put it that way, of trying to keep you trapped. And for us to ascend to that level, we got to release that fear, face our fear, however you want to say it. So again, I'll go back to being a nice lady and watch my cursing, but yes,
Why?
I mean, I don't know if that answered the question, but that's as best as what I could bring up as far as answering that question. It's the fear that's keeping us limited. It's the um, just the, yeah, I guess it's fear. I can lump everything underneath fear, because what some people are doing, I won't say we as far as in general, because I have to watch it. I don't want to box people in. What some people, and I myself am trying to get out of, is because someone thinks it has to be done this way. We ask for advice or opinions because they do it their way. Doesn't mean we have to follow. If For me, if the divine showed something with the ascension and all these, I don't say new age, because that's, because I'm still following the old paths, as far as the nature, getting back in touch with nature, with mother nature, I guess, as they call the old paths. There's too many labels in this new age,
No.
thing I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep up with. But the point is, if you're letting people dictate how you are spiritually or in life, you're going to be trapped, and that's not going to help your ascension. So that's at least my experience from it. So hopefully I didn't confuse anybody by that. So, but back to you.
Yes, indeed. And now, Gary, what are those tools that could help us to ascend into the higher self?
How? What? Well, tell you what.
What,
Hold that
what
thought.
are those? Yes. Okay.
Hold that thought. I'm gonna go get something that's 5 feet away from me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
something so powerful that very few
Mm-hmm.
people really truly understand the power of what it is. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, be right back.
Hey, Amanda. Hey, Anthony. Hey, other people. Thank you so much for joining us. Please share out into the other groups so more people could join us.
I hate these things putting in my ears.
Okay.
So you were asking what some of the tools are that can help us towards understanding more of what the ascension is, or
Mm-hmm.
how to move forward in the ascension. So let me show you something.
Hey, Adrian.
If you see this,
Uh-huh.
I wish you could smell it. The power of the rose. Rose is an emblem of love, an emblem of life, an emblem of romance, an emblem of emotion, an emblem of everything in many ways. When we look at the tools of the ascension, one of the things that the power of the rose does is it opens up the throat chakra. So the throat chakra becomes clear so that the heart can speak. The heart understands what the ascension is. It truly does when you let go of the mind. And through the power of the elements, such as the elements of Gaia, rose, goes right to the heart. And in many people, they pull away from the smell of the rose because it's bringing their emotions forward. Well, in order to understand the ascension, you have to clear you have to clear what your triggers are. You have to clear your
Mm-hmm.
shadows, your yesterdays, your fears, your panics, your all of the traumas, not just yours, but the traumas of our world. And this is one of the tools that can be used. Another
Mm-hmm.
tool is breathing, breath work.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, it doesn't take anything fancy to understand breath work. Understand that every breath that you take is a new story. Every exhale is the end of a story. You are evolving with life. Life is happening all around you. And this is one of the beauties of something so powerful that we can access through smell, we can access through touch, we can access even through, believe it or not, taste. Rose and the power of what it can do. As a tool of the ascension, it helps us to find love within. And I have some beautiful visitors that are just coming over. Okay. And
By
Jesse Hall has just showed up. And wow, beautiful visitors.
Uh-huh.
So let me
by
share.
the by the
Let
way,
me. We
Gary,
know Jesse. Okay.
Yes.
Hawk, and look at Hawk is here. We've got
Uh-huh.
Hawk. Now, here's an example of how can we find tools that take us
Uh-huh.
further. Well, connection with animals, connection with loved ones, friends, people that understand what the heart is about.
Oh, did we lose him?
Okay. I think he has just started talking with Jesse and with
I think
with
I
other
think
people. Yeah,
his internet
yeah. I
connection.
think yeah he'll come here in a second. No problem. And yeah, he's back.
Well, see what
Where
happens.
were you, Gary?
That's what happens when we raise energy. Believe me, when my
Yeah,
energy gets up, all sorts of things
yeah.
go on. Okay, and
Mhm,
now I'm surrounded by, loved. I'm surrounded by animals. I'm surrounded
mhm,
by all of this beautiful space around me.
mhm,
Well, the energy just went up. Woo-hoo, okay, and
mhm,
off we went. We needed a little bit of a break, so we're back. But
mhm,
you know what? I wish you could smell this. I really do. Jesse can.
mhm,
Hey Gary,
Yes.
just let you know, I actually can thanks to one of my senses, and now that I'm connected to you, I'm like, ooh, that sweet, savory
Yep.
smell. And the thing is, I mean, the funny thing is with all these senses, and when you're connected
mhm,
on an energetic level,
Yep.
just
mhm,
put it that way. The doctor died. Well, ever since I was little, I had sinusitis, so that means unless it's something right near my nose, I literally cannot smell it, and that's a shame because my husband's a really very good chef, and I love all the food that he cooks. But just to let you know, I did pick up that smell. I'm not just imagining it. I'm like, "Whoo, what
No,
was that? What was that scent?" You know?
I totally understand you, Ariella. Okay. In
Yeah.
fact, many people who've connected with me on a one-on-one basis or
mhm,
through the shares and everything else are finding out that sometimes they're in thought of me during a certain moment during the day. And actually, I'm in thought of them at the same time. So I may be doing something and all of a sudden you're feeling something in your presence. I've had so many people tell me that, they're walking down the street and all of a sudden they smell something and right away they're thinking of me because of the essences that I work with. And I may have been working with the essence at that very moment. So
mhm,
energy does carry many things. It's
mhm,
not just, connectivity. It also connects us with a sense of telepathy. We're able
mhm.
to feel more. And the more that we raise our vibrations, the more that these gifts
The
that
more
we have come
the more
forward.
we are able to connect with others. And say hi to
Exactly.
Jesse. Say hi to Jesse.
Ahsan says hi, Jesse.
Hi, Hassan.
Jesse.
How you doing?
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
Hawk's having a good time looking around the water pond.
Okay.
He's not
At
really
least
busy.
someone is
He doesn't like
is
water
having a
too
great
much,
time.
so
And
he had a bath today.
Ariella, and I think we have discussed a very interesting questions so far. Now, Ariella, your final thoughts on consciousness, on ascension into the higher self. How do you summarize it?
Oh, look at this. My my koi are actually watching Hawk.
Okay,
Yeah. So,
Ariella, you. Mhm,
right. So, how I summarize this
mhm,
Are there
is
fish in there?
mhm,
just keep your mind open to the experience and do
You be
not
gentle
doubt
with the
mhm,
fish,
yourself.
okay?
mhm,
So that's how I'm learning is keep your mind
mhm,
open. Do not doubt yourself because that could, like Gary said, that could lower the vibration. So if you keep
mhm.
your mind open, the ascension, even with practice, the ascension is definitely possible. Don't limit yourself.
Now, Gary, your final thoughts and Jesse's
Mm.
final thoughts.
Well, I'll get Jesse's final thoughts in a couple of seconds, and I'll tell you my
Okay.
final thoughts.
Yes.
My
Yes,
final thoughts
indeed.
are quite simple. Come.
Mhm.
Now, I'm surrounded by even more beautiful people. Okay?
Yes.
So,
Hi
my
there.
final thoughts are quite simple. Life is about everything that's around us, especially children. If we want to ascend, we have to understand that children are a gift. They are
Mhm,
our future. They have
mhm,
more gifts than even we have. They see things that we are not seeing, and we have to
mhm,
allow them to be free to express what they're seeing and what they're
mhm,
connecting to within the earth, within around us, and the cosmos, and all of this. This
mhm,
is what life is about.
mhm,
Animals, mammals,
mhm,
aves, humans, and especially the children. And then the rose. That's my final thoughts. A rose for love.
Mhm.
So at the same time, I'm going to
Mhm.
pass the earbuds. Actually, you know
That's
what?
cute.
I'm going to take the earbuds. Let me disconnect this, and then
Uh-huh.
Jesse can have his say. And there we go. I think.
Yeah. Your final thought, Jesse.
Wow. Hi, everybody. Final thoughts. The world is rapidly changing. And,
Mhm.
from now to the next, year or 2 years, there's a potential for 70% of the population to no longer be with us. And, so we're going to be moving into, much unfamiliar territory, but, things we will overcome. We were born to overcome, and we're going to figure this all out. We stay in our love vibration. We still keep learning. We keep living. We keep loving. And we just keep going because there's nowhere else I'd rather be but here. So we just make the best of what we got and we just keep going.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Jesse, for your final thoughts. Thank you so much, Ariella, for your final thoughts. And you are doing, Jesse, I would like to mention here, you're doing an amazing job by interviews. And I watch it sometimes, and sometimes I miss it. My apologies, but whenever I get time, I watch it and I share it out. And my final thoughts are that do not distracted by the logic, by the rationality. Do not do not figure out everything with logic, with mathematics, with the rationality that everything in life is not 2 plus 2. Our technology hasn't reached to the level to understand, to comprehend the depths of consciousness. Some people are working on it. Perhaps they will understand it. They achieve to explain it in a better way about the consciousness, about the cosmic connection, about divinity, that how we are connected within ourselves, how we can find divinity within ourselves, how we can raise our vibrations. And Gary, you have mentioned very good tools, how to connect with nature, and how and the Angela, you said a very interesting thing about the things that are lowering our energies. Just keep in mind those things and keep your vibrations up, and do not lower your energies, and do not let anyone to lower your energies. And that's my final thought, that's my message. And thank you, Anthony, thank you, Amanda, thank you other people so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful comments. And it's time for us to go, and I'll see you next week. And thanks so much. Have a good day, good afternoon, wherever you are, in anywhere on this planet.